Hi everybody, welcome back to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel, and as you can see we are outside in the glorious sunshine. Now we've been doing an awful lot of reviews from the living room, from outside Eastfield, and we've decided to step things up, get outside and not only talk about the guns but shoot them as well. So today we are at the fabulous, beautifully stunning Oakedge Shooting Ground, which is situated just on the edge of Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, not too far from the gunroom at Eastfield. So we've got 75 acres of glorious Staffordshire woodland in it, like I say, Cannock Chase. The review we're going to look at today is a gun which has really kind of broken onto the scene in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. It's a gun that I think has got massive potential here in the UK. I know it's got a big following elsewhere in the world, particularly in America. I know there's a lot of guys shooting these. The gun we're going to look at today is the Yildiz Pro Black. Yildiz, for me, is kind of the original Turkish manufacturer that landed in the UK. If I go back 15, 20 years, you know, they produced alloy action guns, which they still do today. Really, really good. And particularly good in the small bore. So if someone says to me, what do you think when you hear the word Yildiz? For me, it was always the 20 bores, the 410s, the 28 bores for sort of starting kids off. And they've just got a really good reputation for reliability, very, very popular with shooting grounds. And that is where I've always kind of seen them. For a number of years, they were imported by a guy called Mike from Entwistle Guns in Preston. And they just sort of trickled along in terms of the UK market. You know, never made a huge impact, and just sort of sat where they were, right kind of at the entry level, and particularly, like I say, very popular with small bores and also some of the wildfowl and side-by-sides. Now, a few years ago, I think about 2018-ish, they really stepped it up and they brought this out. Now, this is, to all intents and purposes, if you look at it, very similar to a very famous Italian gun, but it's not the same, okay? Certainly modelled on it. It's a Boss style action, so we'll just take it apart and show you what I mean by that. So very low profile, black action, steel this is. Obviously I've just, previously pointed out that a lot of the guns that Yildiz manufacture steel today, and have always manufactured, are alloy actions. This is a steel action. So steel action frame, low profile, Boss action, and to all intents and purposes, it looks very similar to a Perazzi. The recoil wedges, the design of the barrels, the ejectors, all that kind of stuff. Obviously it's not a Perazzi, it's manufactured in Turkey. Things are very different in Turkey. Labour costs, materials are sourced differently. But what Yildiz have done with this is they've kind of broken into that mid-range category here in the UK that's always been kind of dominated by Mirko MK38s, Brownie 75s, that sort of stuff. And it's a really, really good bit of kit. So the one I've chosen to show you today is a 30-inch gun. Superior steel shot proof, fleur-de-lis, that's the way we're going. It's a fact of life. If you're looking at buying a gun or acquiring a gun, should we say, and you want to be future-proofing yourself, you need to buy something that is steel shot proofed, or that can be steel shot proof and has that capability. It's as simple as that. Yes, it's a few years away, but it's something that you just have to have in your mind as a consideration. So this one, 30-inch, and we have got 18.6 backboard barrels. So from a clay shooting point of view, the forcing cones are reasonably long. It should be nice and smooth to shoot. Obviously we'll find that out shortly. Tapered rib, which is 711, which again, it shares the popularity with its famous Italian counterpart that it sort of shares design features with. Ventilated rib, ventilated barrels. Quite interestingly here, underneath where the forend goes, we have got almost like a floating rib, and what that essentially does is reduces the weight but also enhances the balance of the gun. 3-inch chambers, which again, if you buy a gun that's manufactured in Europe, particularly in Turkey, everything is 3-inch chambers, so that would make it suitable for pretty much everything. Yes, it's marketed as a clay gun, but you could use it as a crossover gun for game shooting. Just pop it back together. Nice reassuring click when it closes. Doesn't, although it's extremely good value, it doesn't feel like a cheap gun. It's got a good feel of quality when you pick it up. Chrome line barrels, as you would expect, and nicely polished lumps as well. Let me just go back to that. I'll just take it apart again. The attention to detail for the cost of the gun is exceptional, really. It is nicely finished. The bluing is of a good quality. You've got a little original, I think that's an LPA for those that have been around guns a long time, little orangey fluorescent foresight bead. So choke wise, these actually come with a huge selection of chokes. You get 5 flush ones and you get 2 extended ones. So again, as an all-rounder, nice choice. You can do anything with it. Very, very versatile. You can go out on a Sunday morning, shoot clays with extended chokes, and if you wanted to take it game shooting, pheasant shooting in particular, because it's got a nice bit of weight about it, you put the flush chokes in, and then you kind of fulfill the etiquette side of things, if you want to call it that. So the action itself, plain, and I keep talking about this, competition guns, you know, in most cases are designed to be clay munchers that go out and shoot clays, and therefore they are quite plain in appearance. So we've got black action, bit of border scroll work. On the bottom it's got Yildiz and it says something in Turkish. And moving on to the balance of the gun, this one weighs 8 pounds 3 ounces. Now I'll come on to that in a second in terms of why I think it weighs that. But the balance, bear in mind this is not an expensive shotgun. You know, I'm going to like to talk about prices, but it is extremely good value for money. So my hand there is pretty much on the hinge pin. That is pretty impressive, isn't it? For what it is. For a Turkish gun from a manufacturer that is renowned for making alloy action, let's not beat around the bush, very low cost shotguns. That is an impressive piece of kit. Now stock wise, they do these in different specifications in terms of, they do a fixed stock, they do a 20 gauge. This is the one for me, this is why I've picked this one out. Now this is the factory adjustable. Now what I like about this gun is it's got a real nice deep pistol grip, a nice palm swell, which again, from my point of view, competition gun, it should have a palm swell. It should feel nice in the hand. This does feel nice in the hand. Factory adjustable comb, but look at the fatness of that comb. That's going to fit really nicely in your cheek, not give you any recoil, not move around at all. And as you would expect with Turkey in particular, they have got tons of walnut. So this one is a grade 4. Fantastic piece of wood. I think you can get these from a grade 1 all the way up to a grade 5. So again, depending on how important wood is to you. Some shooters want a nice piece of wood. Some people just want a tool. You know, you can buy one of these regardless of what you want to do with it, and budget dependent. Factory adjustable comb. It's a bit crude, to be honest with you. You take the top of the comb off and you look inside, it looks like it's been thrown together rather than put together nicely. But again, we're talking very low cost in Turkey where this gun's produced. So, you know, ultimately for what it is, you can't fail to be impressed with this gun, in my opinion. Forend is interesting. Most guns that are coming out of Turkey at the minute have got a kind of quite a wide belly schnabel, not particularly nice. There's one particular brand that produces them, which I'm not a huge fan of. This is nice, it's like a London rounded pattern, fits nice in the hand. Checkering, obviously it's laser done. It's a bit coarse, but again, you've got to consider what this gun costs in terms of what else is out there, and for what it is, for me, you can't help but be impressed. So factory adjustable comb we talked about, grade of the wood, recoil pad, not a fan. I've shot one of these before, I don't like this recoil pad. That's my personal preference. If I was going to own one of these guns, I would be putting an absorbable kind of pad on, like a Kiki, something like that, which I think would absolutely change the gun in terms of the recoil that is felt. So, moving on, with the grade 4, which is a particular gun, you get this green velour case. Wow, how cool is that? Nicely lined with this kind of red foamy stuff. You've got a Yildiz badge there. Again, it's presentation, it's attention to detail. And if you bought a gun in this kind of price range from most manufacturers, you wouldn't get anything as over the top as this, but it's nice, isn't it? It's, like I said, from a presentation point of view, you've got nice socks in there, you've got a little manual, and if we look in here, looks like Robocop's lunchbox, okay? We have got 2 extended chokes, even the little knurls on, they look very similar to a Briley, flush chokes, not dissimilar to an old Remington choke or an Invector Plus, but it is a different choke system, so do be aware if you've got a Yildiz, you should only really use Yildiz manufactured chokes or aftermarket chokes, etc. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice I've actually got some Teagues in the end of this. I'll come on to that in a moment. And there you have it. It's a gun which, and I've said this before on the channel, you know, not everybody wants a Browning or a Beretta or a Miracle. People want to be different, and I think that is echoed these days more so because you've got so many different manufacturers. You've got Cesar Guerini, B. Rosini, Yildiz, you've got Marochi. There's loads that weren't really about 20 years ago, but that now are really making headway in terms of the UK shotgun market and no doubt globally. Another one is Fausti, not particularly popular here in the UK, because I would say that the UK market is quite a difficult one to crack, but in the States, they're massive. So that's a brief outline of the Yildiz Black Pro Grade 4 30-inch adjustable, which incidentally weighs £8 3 ounces. We've looked at the balance, so in terms of weight for a clay gun, it's absolutely what you want. You know, it shouldn't give you a great deal of recoil because of the overbore barrels, because of the recoil pad, but I'm not a fan of that, I'll be honest. Great bit of kit, and something that I would definitely recommend people look at, particularly because of the stock. Just one final case in point on the stock, the height is really good. I think it's something like 35-50. Most manufacturers much lower than that. So, you know, I mount this gun, I can get a reasonable sight picture, so you could absolutely put the comb up, use it for trap disciplines if you wanted it. Again, it just adds to the fact that it is a real good option if you want an all-rounder to do absolutely everything with. That's enough waffling from me. You can see I've got my skeet vest on, as retro as it is, so I'm all ready to go with shooting. So let's go and shoot it, and then we'll have another chat. So I've just put a few shots through this Yildiz Pro Grade 4 Black, and to be honest with you, it feels really good. The trigger pulls, you would never attribute a trigger pull as good as that to a gun that costs so little. It's very impressive, nice and crisp, not too heavy. The recoil, as I said, this particular pad is not for me. I would put a different kind of recoil pad, but it's not too bad, but it does kind of jump around a little bit in your hands. I've got quite a soft hand because I'm a pen pusher. You know, I don't do any manual labour, so I can feel where it's been sort of grating on my hand, but I think with a decent recoil pad that will slow it down. That's why we've been choosing 28-gram cartridges. Now the chokes, I mentioned this at the start of the video. The last time I shot one of these guns, I wasn't very impressed with the chokes. So for this particular shooting exercise, I've chosen some Teagues, much better, nice clean kills. We've shot quite a difficult long crosser, a couple of going aways, and it feels good, it handles well. To start with, I felt a little bit undergun with 30-inch with the tall birds, but when I found out where the gun was going, it was absolutely fine. So really pleased I've had another go at one of these guns. I still think it's a good bit of kit like I did before. If I could change the recoil pad, absolutely, change the chokes. Having said that, if you do go out and get hold of one of these do come with a 5-year warranty, I understand, which is absolutely incredible for the money. So from me, Matthew Morgan at Eastfield Gunroom, here at the wonderful Oakedge Shooting Ground, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.